For decades, the world has celebrated Elvis Presley as the king of rock and roll, but beneath the glittering legend are 20 surprising truths even his biggest fans rarely hear about. From near anonymity, delivering supplies for Crown Electric, to shocking moments that almost derailed his destiny, these stories challenge what you thought you knew. The gap between Elvis's myth and reality is wider and stranger than anyone expects. So what did it really take to become a global icon? And why are the most fascinating chapters of his life still hidden in plain sight? In 1954, Elvis Presley was just another young man in Memphis, slipping on his Crown Electric uniform and climbing into the cab of a delivery truck. He spent his days hauling electrical supplies across the city, his name stitched in yellow over the pocket of his work shirt. At that point, music still felt like a distant dream. He had recorded a few acetates at Sun Studio, hoping someone would notice, but his world was full of traffic lights and loading docks, not spotlights or screaming fans. Everything changed on the evening of July 8, 1954. Local DJ Dewey Phillips spun a brand new single, "That's All Right," on his Red, Hot and Blue show on WHBQ. The response from Memphis listeners was immediate. Phone lines jammed with requests, and Phillips kept the record spinning again and again. Elvis was not at home or in the studio. He was behind the wheel of his truck, the radio humming above the engine noise, when he heard his own voice broadcast across the city for the first time. According to later interviews and Elvis's own recollections, the shock nearly made him lose control of the vehicle, and he would later joke about the thrill and disbelief of hearing himself on the air. This account is drawn from memories and anecdotes, not from surviving broadcast logs or official documents. That night, the boundaries of Elvis's world began to dissolve. The next day, people started recognizing him on his delivery route. Sam Phillips at Sun quickly arranged more recording sessions and some early live gigs. But Elvis did not quit Crown Electric immediately. For a while, he balanced the early chaos of sudden local fame with the steady routine of a working-class job. The leap from blue-collar labor to the first taste of stardom was sudden, but it did not erase the reality of his life overnight. That first radio play marked the start of everything. The moment possibility roared to life inside a Memphis truck cab and set a young man on the road to becoming the king. Rejection came early for Elvis Presley, and it did not come from the music industry's biggest gatekeepers. In Memphis, the local gospel scene was alive with quartets, and one of the most respected was the Songfellows. According to oral history from group members, a young Elvis tried out for a spot, hoping to join their harmonies. There is no surviving audition sheet or program to confirm the moment, and the account rests on the memories of those who were there. A member later recalled that he just did not fit their sound. This story is based on oral history rather than documented records. For a teenager dreaming of a place on stage, being turned down by a local quartet could have sent him back to the delivery truck for good. Instead, Elvis began to shape his own identity, one detail at a time. School photos show a sandy blonde kid with tousled hair, but by 1954, his hair had darkened to a deep, almost blue-black. He admired Hollywood stars like Tony Curtis, whose jet-black hair and movie star presence gave them a certain mystique. At first, Elvis used shoe polish to create that dramatic sheen before switching to professional dye. Sun Records publicity shots from 1954 and 1955 show the new hair color setting him apart. It became a visual promise of something different, a signature look. This was more than a style choice. The black pompadour, the sideburns, the sharp suits, every detail was part of an intentional image. Elvis was not trying to fit in with the gospel quartets anymore. He was building a persona that would stand out whether on a Memphis stage or a national television screen. Early rejection did not slow him down. If anything, it pushed him to create a look and sound that belonged to him alone, laying the groundwork for the myth that would follow. Elvis Presley's rise to fame turned him into an American icon. but his live performances stayed almost entirely on home soil. While the world clamored for a chance to see him in person, Elvis never launched a full-scale concert tour outside the United States. The only exceptions came in 1957, when he played 3 shows in Canada, 1 in Toronto, another in Ottawa, and a third in Vancouver. These concerts drew enormous crowds and hinted at the international demand for his music. Yet after that brief Canadian run, Elvis's tours remained strictly within United States borders. The question of why Elvis never performed overseas has sparked debate for decades. Many historians point to his manager, Colonel Tom Parker, whose real name was Andreas van Kook. Born in the Netherlands, Parker never became a United States citizen and reportedly lacked a valid passport. Some believe Parker's uncertain immigration status made him reluctant to leave the country, fearing he might not be allowed back in. This idea is widely discussed among biographers and music historians, but it remains speculation and is not confirmed by a single document. Other factors, including business decisions, logistics, and Elvis's own health in later years, also played a role. The link between Parker's citizenship and Elvis's absence from world stages remains a well-supported theory, but not a proven fact. While the world waited for a glimpse of Elvis, Parker found another way to cash in on the frenzy. He pioneered a new approach to fan merchandise, licensing everything from photos and t-shirts to games and buttons. His most creative move was to market not just to fans but to critics as well. Alongside the classic I Love Elvis buttons, Parker ordered up a batch of I Hate Elvis pins. The idea was simple. If people were going to talk about Elvis, Parker would find a way to profit, whether the attention was positive or negative. Surviving examples of these anti-Elvis items still turn up in collector circles today, a testament to Parker's relentless business instincts. In an era before global streaming or satellite specials, Parker used every angle to keep the Elvis brand in the public eye, and to make sure that even without a world tour, the King's name was everywhere. Elvis Presley's impact on music can be measured not just in gold records or screaming crowds, but in the sheer volume of work he left behind. Over the course of his career, he recorded more than 600 songs, a staggering total for any artist, especially one whose fame was built on interpreting rather than writing music. Studio logs and release catalogs confirm that Elvis poured himself into session after session, cutting tracks for albums, singles, and movie soundtracks. Yet for all this output, his name appears as a songwriter on only a handful of recordings. He preferred to take existing material and make it his own, shaping melodies and lyrics with his voice and style until they sounded unmistakably like Elvis. Music historians and discographers agree. His genius lay in performance and interpretation, not in penning new songs. While his live shows rarely crossed United States borders, his music found a way to reach the world on a scale no one had attempted before. On January 14, 1973, Elvis took the stage at the Honolulu International Center for a concert titled Aloha from Hawaii via satellite. The event was a technical marvel. Broadcast live by satellite to more than 40 countries across Asia, Australia, and parts of Europe, with a delayed showing in the United States a few months later. This was the first time a solo artist's concert was beamed globally in real time, a feat that required coordination between NBC, RCA, and international broadcasters. Promotional materials at the time claimed that over 1 billion people tuned in, but modern researchers who study television ratings and global television ownership say that number is almost certainly inflated. There is no single reliable count for how many viewers actually watched, and the exact audience size remains uncertain. Estimates based on available data place the audience in the tens of millions, possibly up to 100 million or more. What is clear is that the broadcast allowed Elvis to perform for a worldwide audience without leaving American soil, using technology to bridge a gap that touring never closed. The Aloha from Hawaii via satellite special stands as both a testament to his enduring appeal and his willingness to embrace new ways of reaching fans, cementing his place as not just the king of rock and roll, but a pioneer in the age of global entertainment. Graceland was more than a mansion for Elvis Presley. It was a place where he could retreat from the world and lose himself in study and reflection. In March 1957, at just 22 years old, Elvis purchased Graceland for his parents, but over time the house evolved into a sanctuary for his own searching spirit. Tucked away from the velvet ropes and guided tours, Elvis kept a private room filled with stacks of books. These were not just light reading. Friends, staff, and curators recall shelves crowded with texts on Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, numerology, and every variety of self-help and mystical philosophy he could find. Some accounts claim he owned thousands of books, though the actual number remains a point of debate among those who have cataloged his possessions. Elvis's appetite for spiritual knowledge was matched by his habit of wearing religious symbols from multiple faiths. Photographs and preserved artifacts show him often sporting a Christian cross, a Star of David, and a Hebrew chai pendant, sometimes all at once. When asked about this unusual mix, Elvis once explained, "I don't want to miss out on heaven through a technicality." That line, preserved in interviews and repeated by Graceland's curators, captures his restless sense of spiritual wonder and his anxiety about the mysteries of the afterlife. The books and jewelry were not for show. Graceland's archivists and those who knew Elvis best describe late nights where he would disappear into his quiet room, reading passages aloud or pondering new ideas. For Elvis, faith was not about following a single path. It was about exploring every possibility, searching for meaning wherever he could find it. This side of him, the seeker surrounded by stacks of worn pages and layered symbols, shaped the private world he built behind Graceland's gates. While the world saw the king of rock and roll, those closest to him saw a man always reaching for something deeper, hoping to find answers that fame and fortune could never provide. Graceland's basement offered a glimpse into Elvis's fascination with technology. He owned 3 color televisions mounted side by side, each tuned to something different: football, news, cartoons, so he never missed a beat. By the mid-1960s, estate records show he owned more TVs than most families, along with early stereo systems and gadgets that filled his favorite rooms. The TV room and the jungle room, with its waterfall and shag carpet, became showcases for his love of the latest gear. Elvis was always searching for upgrades, flipping through catalogs, and insisting on new electronics before they became household staples. In his later years, the Jungle Room doubled as a recording studio, turning comfort into creativity. Not every habit revolved around technology. Stories from friends and staff describe his fondness for shooting inside the house. The details shift depending on who is telling the story. Some remember a makeshift range in the basement. Others recall Elvis firing at objects, or even televisions when the mood struck. There is no official blueprint for an indoor range at Graceland, and the tales of late-night shooting sessions are part of the home's lore. What is certain is that Elvis kept a sizable collection of firearms, and he saw shooting as both entertainment and a way to unwind, even if the specifics are wrapped in legend. Among the more ordinary comforts, one detail stands out: his reported preference for Pepsi over Coca-Cola. Multiple former staff and friends recall him reaching for a Pepsi when he wanted a soft drink. This story is anecdotal. There are no official records or endorsements, but it is a favorite among those who worked in the kitchen or stocked the pantry. It was a small ritual that added to his reputation as both superstar and creature of habit. Between the wall of televisions, the stories of indoor target practice, and the simple pleasure of a cold soda, Elvis's private world blended cutting-edge technology with everyday quirks. These habits, both documented and legendary, helped shape the myth of a man always chasing the next thrill. Elvis Presley's fascination with authority took a tangible form: a collection of police badges from departments across the country. Memphis, Denver, Los Angeles, each badge was genuine, often gifted by officers or officials who were charmed by his enthusiasm for law enforcement. He was not content with souvenirs. Friends and family say he would ask for official credentials wherever he traveled, sometimes trading autographs or photographs for a badge that looked and felt authentic. Priscilla Presley later explained that he saw badges as a kind of access, a way to move freely and to command respect. The quest for official recognition reached its peak on December 21st, 1970. That morning, Elvis checked into a Washington, D.C. hotel, wrote a letter to President Nixon, and hand-delivered it to the White House gate. In his own words preserved in the National Archives, Elvis wrote, "I would love to meet you, just to say hello, if you are not too busy." He offered his help in the fight against drugs and communism, and he asked to be made a federal agent at large. The meeting was arranged within hours. It was not a walk-in, but a rapid response from Nixon's staff. That afternoon, Elvis stepped into the Oval Office, shook hands with the president, and received a genuine Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs badge. The scene was captured in an iconic photograph, the badge glinting in his hand, a symbol of his lifelong search for authority and belonging. Elvis Presley's fascination with martial arts began while he was in the Army. He trained with Hank Slamansky, and he earned his first black belt in 1960. Over the years, he studied with instructors including Ed Parker, founder of American Kenpo, and later with Master Kang Rhee in Memphis. By the 1970s, Kang Rhee awarded Elvis an 8th-degree black belt in his Passepartout school. Martial arts historians continue to debate the significance of that rank. Some consider it a sincere recognition of effort and support for the martial arts community. Others argue it was honorary, reflecting Elvis's fame more than technical mastery. That debate is not fully verified, and the exact level of his technical skill remains disputed. Generosity was another hallmark of his life. Records from Graceland and first-hand accounts confirm he owned well over 100 cars, including Cadillacs, Lincolns, and custom models. He often bought cars on impulse, and he gave them away to friends, bandmates, and even strangers he met at dealerships. A pink Cadillac that he gifted to his mother in 1955 remains on display at Graceland. Recipients describe the excitement and disbelief of being handed keys by the king himself. Even his autograph became a collector's puzzle. Authenticators point to a dramatic flourish beneath the letter P in Presley, a sweeping underline that starts under the P and curves outward. This detail, visible in signed photos and contracts, is still used to distinguish genuine signatures from forgeries. For fans and experts alike, the underline is as much a part of Elvis's legend as his music and his moves. Today, the details behind Elvis's private passions, habits, and contradictions remain hotly debated and are still being discovered. As Graceland welcomes hundreds of thousands of visitors each year, the search for new truths continues. The legend keeps evolving, shaped as much by what we know as by what we still question. In the end, curiosity endures longer than any myth. Which of these lesser-known facts surprised you the most?